Hey guys, it's Luca from Learning MTG. Today I wanted to make a video going over the Rona deck that I've been working on. I'm not the first person to play Rona and Tyvar in a Tyvar shell with Karn. I think like Todd Anderson was the first one to build it this way, but basically, yeah, I've been messing around. I added Jace, Vryn's Prodigy, which hadn't been in the shell previously. And I'll just talk through like a few of the games that I played with this deck. I think this could be a new tier 1 deck in Pioneer. My thinking is basically generally in Magic, like one of the apex strategies you can play is a combo. Because basically you're presenting some combination of cards that win through the game immediately and has no counterplay. And usually if there's not some kind of glaring weakness to this kind of strategy, usually combo is kind of like the deck that sets the pace. And then everything else in the format, then, it'll be decks that have some amount of disruption or decks that can race the combo deck, right? It's kind of like sets the bar for the rest of the format. Usually that's how things go in Magic. Unless you have a format where there is no combo, there's no way to win the game on the spot. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being tier 1, just because it's a turn 3 combo deck. Turn 3, there are some decks that can win on turn 3 in Pioneer. You have Lotus Field that can win on turn 3. Actually, some of the new like token decks with Reckless Bushwhacker, those decks can win on turn 3, but those are obviously not combo decks. Like you can kind of disrupt them. But they are technically decks that can potentially win on turn 3. And then you now have Rona that can win on turn 3. I feel like there's another deck that can win on turn 3 that I'm forgetting. Yeah, but anyway. Oh yeah, mono green can win on turn 3. If you get the perfect draw with mono green, you can win on turn 3. Okay, so let's get to it. How do I want to do this? Probably like this. Okay, so I keep a hand. I think I'm playing against red black. This deck, the way that I built it, maybe I should pull the deck. So you basically have like 6 1-drops. You have 6 Landwehr Elf. Then you have a good amount of 2-drops. Like Jason Rona are your best 2-drops, but you also can play Kinnan. Kinnan by itself is kind of useless. You're never going to use its, almost never going to use its second ability. But it's really good when you have Mox Amber or Elvish Mystic in play. Then it can really start to make you a lot of mana, especially if you're doing things like Tyvar to untap your Landwehr Elves. Now your Keenan's doing a lot of work. Also, it's just a legendary permanent. Like you want a certain amount of legendary permanents in the deck to turn on Mox Amber. One of the best things you can do in the deck is go like turn 2 Keenan, Mox Amber, Rona, right? Or like Keenan, Mox Amber, Jace Prodigy. Also, like one of the reasons Keenan is in the deck is because if you can create infinite mana, I'm not sure if this really matters anymore because it just doesn't come up that often. But if you create infinite mana with Rona and you have Keenan in play, then you can keep going through your deck until you get Gretchen. And then once you get Gretchen, you can draw your whole deck and you're fine. So you have an infinite combo in the deck, but it only produces infinite mana. So you need something else to turn it into a win. But there are so many ways to use infinite mana to win the game. For example, like if you're making infinite mana and you have Tyvar, let's say you have infinite mana, right? Now you use your Rona instead of tapping it to bounce your Mox Amber, you bounce Tyvar, you replay Tyvar, Tyvar untaps Rona, and then you can minus Tyvar and you can get something in play. So also like if you have a Tyvar, when you have infinite mana, then you can just infinitely bounce your Tyvar and mill 3 cards and play something. You could also infinitely replay your Tyvar and untap your Rona to get infinite loots. So you could loot into Treasure Cruise. Obviously, Karn, once you have infinite mana with Karn, you instantly win the game because you grab Aetherflux Reservoir. That's kind of like the main kill with the deck. But you can do the same thing with Jace. Like if you don't have Tyvar in play but you have Jace, you can, well, okay, it doesn't really work with Jace because it only works with Jace if you have haste. So, but yeah, so basically I guess you need either Kinnan in play, Tyvar in play, or, you know, you can obviously with infinite mana, you can Treasure Cruise, that gives you 3 more digs. There's just practically, once you have infinite mana, it's usually pretty easy to win the game. But it is possible that you could just have infinite mana and nothing to do. Also of note is like Gigantha. Once you have infinite mana, assuming you have green mana as well as blue, then you could find your Gigantha and you could play Gigantha to untap your Rona one more time. If that's relevant, giving yourself like one more loot. Okay, so that's basically how the deck works. So let's go back to the game. So I found like in these situations, I like to play, so he turn 1 Thoughtseize my Rona. I like to play Jace first anyways. Because if they don't kill my 2-drop, I'm like in good shape. And if they do, I'd rather they kill my worst 2-drop. Because you'd rather have Rona in play than Jace. So I play Jace. So I can Tyvar. So I play Tyvar to get back my Rona. And then I looted with Rona. Now I can loot with Jace. I'm leaving it up so that if he decides to try to kill my Tyvar with the Bank Buster, I can block and tap. Kind of the old Jace trick from Standard many moons ago. So he has like a really bad draw, so should be pretty simple to win this one. But basically the strength of this deck is, and the way that I built it in particular, is I have no disruption in my deck. I have no interaction. I have no fatal pushes, no Thoughtseizes. So it's basically just purely combo, and you're building the deck in such a way that basically you can win through lots and lots of disruption. Because the whole deck is either combo pieces or cards that draw you cards or cards that find combo pieces. So your whole deck just keeps on going for the combo over and over and over and runs your opponent out of disruption, and then you win. So it's that kind of deck. Which actually, I built one of these decks before when I was playing the Familiar Storm deck in Pauper. So I'm pretty familiar with this strategy. Okay. So honestly, my opponent is just so far behind. I have the Mox Amber now. I just need Refraction Helix to win the game. So the nice thing about Jace is if you ever get your Helix, you can flash it back with Jace. So now I can Treasure Cruise. I got the Helix. Now I can just make infinite mana. So my opponent's draw was really bad, but we still won through a Thoughtseize. We would have easily beat like Fatal Push, lots of disruption. Things that might have been tricky would have been like a Shieldred, but even then, the thing with this deck is you win with the Retraction Helix. So if your opponent has any permanent in play that stops you from winning the game, it could be like a Karn because you can't use your Mox Amber. It could be like a Shieldred or whatever, Damping Sphere. Any of these cards are actually not that great against the deck because you can just play Retraction Helix on your guy, bounce their lock piece, and then continue with your combo if you have any way to untap your Rona, which is not hard in this deck. Between Tyvar and like every part of your deck is legendary. Okay. So, and then basically the way you win here is Oh well, let's just show what happens. This in this particular game, it took me forever to find my card, I think. But you're basically just keep going until you find card. So I'm just bouncing my Mox Amber over and over. I've got a Treasure Cruise in my hand. I could also like I could also bounce the Jace, replay the Jace, tap Jace, flashback Treasure Cruise. I guess this kind of shows you like how you win when everything goes wrong. When you just can't find your card. Also, Otawara can bounce some of your own stuff. There's just so many ways at this point to win the game. I also have Attack Enuma. Okay, finally found the card. So that's game. Now I can grab the Aetherflux Reservoir. And now, gain a bunch of life. And shoot my opponent. Okay, so that was my opponent with a really bad draw. So you didn't really get to see the deck at its best. Let's go here. Okay, let's go to game 1. Or was that game 1? That was game 2. Oh no, it was this game. Let's play game 2. So now my opponent gets to the board against me. If they're black-red, you assume they're going to be boarding in a lot more spot removal. So Thoughtseize takes my Rona. I'll license hers, which is not that amazing against my deck. It's pretty good. It's pretty annoying, but Karn shuts it down. Okay, so he's got the Thoughtseize and Fatal Push for my 2 Ronas. But now, like, this is a way that I end up winning a lot against red-black, is basically they spend their first 2 turns playing Disruption, and then I get to play Karn on an empty board, and it's GG. So they kind of, like, really need Shieldred here. Another Disruption spell. Yeah, but you can see, like, they're in a lot of trouble now. So I'm just going to play this Chariot. So I play Jeskai Chariot. I plus Karn. Or no, I don't need. I plus Karn on the Chariot so that I can tap my Mox Amber for green. Play Llanowar Elf. Okay, so I played Bone Crusher. So yeah, they're super, super dead. So I attack with Jeskai Chariot, make a 2/2, bring back Gigantha, and I'm holding up Otawara. Okay, double block. They play Shieldred. But I have Otawara, so I'm just going to bounce this Shieldred. Play Shaper's Sanctuary. Shouldn't matter. And it's pretty much GG. They play Shieldred. So I don't even know what I'm playing around here, but I decided to just attack with these guys and then use my Karn to find Sky Sovereign so I can kill this Shieldred. Because I figure if I kill the Shieldred, I can't lose. Okay, so we beat red-black. Let's look at some other games. Oh, I think this is against blue-white. This was a super interesting game. My draw was not very good, but I don't think either was my opponent's. So we're on the play. Turn 1 Breeding Pool. Opponent plays tap land. Play Jace. If they kill Jace, I can bring it back with Tyvar. But they exile it, so I can't do that. Still want to take this opportunity to play Tyvar. I minus Tyvar and whiff, hit 3 lands. Play Keenan, and just get my Gigantha. Opponent foretells. So here I just have nothing going on. All I can do is play this Giganta. Notably, Keenan, if you're just gonna like blindly use its ability, it only hits Twitch or Gretchen. It only hits Gretchen and like Llanowar Elf, so it's pretty bad to use randomly. There's just not much to hit. Okay, Supreme Verdict, but I'm gonna use Retraction Helix to bounce my Giganta. And then I can bring back the Keenan with Tyvar and present the same threats again. I decided also just not to play my Elvish Mystic, just to play around a second Supreme Verdict. Okay, just the fairy pluses. I could Retraction Helix, but I'd rather just try to kill it. So one of the things I've noticed with this deck is like Retraction Helix actually is not really a dead card in this deck when you're not comboing. It does useful stuff. Okay, so he puts my guy on top of my library, so I'm going to grab it with Keenan. This is like one of the few situations where it's actually good to grab Keenan. Kills one of my lands, and now I'm going to try to kill Teferi again. I really need to kill Teferi, but I don't want to bounce it. I just want to straight up kill it. So I want him to like tap out, and then I want to Treasure Cruise and try to win the game. Okay, let me pause here. Okay, so he Shark Typhoon, so I'm gonna try to bounce the tokens, and then I kill both the token and his Teferi. Seems like a pretty good trade. He has a counter spell for that, so I could just be like, okay, you're tapped out, I can Treasure Cruise. If I hit Rona, I win the game because I have a second Retraction Helix, but I decided to just, I figure if I hit Rona off Treasure Cruise, I'm going to win the game anyways, even without comboing. So I'm just going to go for the second Retraction Helix here. Bounces token, kills Teferi, now I can Treasure Cruise. I found the Rona. It's pretty much game here. It's going to be really hard. I got another Treasure Cruise. It's going to be really hard for my opponent to come back from this. Opponent plays Void Shatter on my Chase, so I can't flashback Treasure Cruise or Retraction Helix. But I got Karn, find a Wish Claw Talisman, and now I can find Retraction Helix and win the game. So that's another like little combo in the deck, is you can use Karn to find Wish Claw Talisman to find whatever combo piece you're missing and combo off. I'll just make infinite mana, infinite spells, play the Flux Reservoir, win the game. So here you got to see like it's not like a fragile combo deck. Like my opponent played removal spell, sweeper. This is not really a removal spell. Only removes an attacking creature. Counter spell. We still won through all that, mainly because of the Treasure Cruises and Tyvar, right? So there's a lot of card advantage in this deck that allows you to win through disruption. Okay, let's go to game 2. This shows the other the other side of this deck. Sometimes you just do completely degenerate things. Opponent plays tap land. I also play tap land. Opponent plays land go. Play my Rona. Somehow no counter spell here. Could be like a Dovin's Veto. Plays tap land go. So now I'm thinking like, whoa, he's not killing this. He's letting me untap here and letting me loot. Means he probably doesn't have a way to kill it. So I loot. I find Mox Amber. So I have the kill right here. Retraction Helix. He has the counter spell, but I have the second Retraction Helix. So that's a turn 3 kill through a counter spell. Pretty busted. The thing with this deck is like, it is a 3-card combo, which sucks. You'd want it to be a 2-card combo, but this card costs 2 mana. This card basically costs -1 mana because it costs 0 and it makes you a mana. And this card is 1 mana. So everything put together, the combo costs a total of 2 mana. So it's a 2 mana combo. Win the game. It does require you to have 3 cards, but it's just so cheap that you could do stuff like that. Like he had the counter spell, I just played another one. Or if he had some way to kill Mox Amber and I had another one, I could just play another Mox Amber. So that's kind of like the very degenerate side of this deck, is like winning on turn 3 through a counter spell. Okay, let's look at some other games. This is against Lutri deck, like blue-red Lutri. So he's going to have a lot of counter spells and disruption. In theory, like that type of deck would be good against this type of deck, but I just think the power levels are completely different, so that I feel favored against Lutri with this deck. So play Elf turn 1. Opponent plays blue mana. It's a Lutri deck, so there's no point in like trying to play around anything like Spell Pierce, because there's only one Spell Pierce. So this is one of the crazy hands where you get like Keenan and Llanowar Elf and Mox Amber. So your Keenan is just making tons of mana. So it's turn 2, or it's turn 3, I guess, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. Wait, or was that my turn? Yeah, I don't know why I didn't play Tyvar. That's weird. But now my opponent's tapped out. Game's close to over. I just need to flip this Jace. Well, I don't need to flip it. I'm basically looking for a Retraction Helix here. If I can get the Retraction Helix, I can win. Karn could find it with Witchclaw Talisman. Or Witchclaw Talisman. So Tyvar gets me 2 more loots. Untaps the Rona. Found Treasure Cruise. Okay. Now I can play Treasure Cruise. And I didn't find any combo pieces, but I did get Tyvar, Treasure Cruise. So I've got tons of gas here. Okay. Opponent's gonna attack my Tyvar. I don't want to trade because the Keenan's giving me so much mana. Kills my Jace, and kills my Tyvar, but I've got so many Tyvar. Also, like when you have Tyvar in play and Keenan in play, Elvish Mystic is +1 mana because it has haste and it taps for 2. Okay, so untap my Rona here, loot again, play Jace. I can flip Jace. Just gonna flashback Treasure Cruise. Yeah, flashback Treasure Cruise. Now I found my Retraction Helix. GG. So the deck starts to do really broken things pretty fast. Okay, that was game 1. Let's do a game where I lose. I lose game 2. No, this game was funny. I'm playing against a Lutri deck, which is basically like one-ofs. And I have turn 1 Shaper's Sanctuary, which I assume is GG. I assume like, okay, how could I possibly lose from here? Because he has no way of dealing with this. Okay. Keenan's my worst card, so I'm throwing it out there first. But what does he play? Oh, he plays Narset. I can't beat Narset. This deck's really soft in Narset because you can't attack very well with this deck. All your creatures have no power. And like everything is a looter in this deck, or like drawing you cards. So this draw cards. So I get owned by Narset. We don't even need to see the rest of the game. I'm clearly just owned. And then let's do game 3. Turn 1, tap land. So I get to go Keenan into Rona turn 2. Kills for Rona. But I use Takenuma, so I get to play Rona again. So these like legendary lands are really nice in this deck because you have so many legendary creatures that they usually are like 1 or 2 mana cheaper. Okay, he plays Brotherhood Zen, not bad. But I have Treasure Cruise. So I probably want to leave my Rona in my graveyard in case I get a Tyvar. Plays Unlicensed Hers, that sucks. Play Rona, unlocks my Mox Amber so I can play Karn. Okay, Karn shuts off his Unlicensed Hers. I'm just going to plus Karn here because I'm going to assume he doesn't have a way to kill it. In which case I'd rather wait to see what I want to do with it. So some lists play the 6-drop in this deck. Got the Pharaoh statue thing where all their stuff costs 2 more. I think it's like win more, but it would have been good here. But still, like usually when it's good is when you're like way ahead. So I don't have that. I get the Wishclaw Talisman. Wishclaw Talisman, nothing in the game if he has nothing. So I get Retraction Helix, and I just go for the kill here. He has Test of Talents. What the heck? So that owned me. I'm just going to hold up a loot ability and hold up Adawara. I'm shutting off 3 of his artifacts here. Okay, dig through time is quite scary. Lutri just seems so not worth it. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. E4 tells, and then I'm going to bounce his Wishclaw Talisman at end of turn. Because I think there's a chance card might die here, and I don't want to unlock that for him. Okay, then I loot. Probably want to loot again, see if I draw something good. Grab his Zika's Chariot. So when you're in these types of situations, you can usually just win by killing them with a Chariot. So now we're attacking on multiple fronts. Like he has to deal with his Chariot, and he has to deal with us trying to combo him at the same time. As you can see, Rona is just kind of a strong card in general. Even if you couldn't combo with it, being able to loot over and over and over every time you play a legendary spell is pretty good. Okay, we found the Treasure Cruise, which is what we were looking for. Opponent has Behold the Multiverse, and they scoop. So I won't bore people too much more with this deck, but as you can see, like, beat black red, beat blue white control, beat blue red control. Also, you can imagine playing against decks without disruption, you're like pretty heavily favored. Decks like Lotus Field, decks like actually mono green can be trickier because mono green can pretty quickly set up Karn, and if they have Karn with a lot of mana, they can screw you up. But I would say most decks in Pioneer have either Fatal Push or they have burn spells. Like a vast majority of decks, it feels like, have that cheap interaction. So you're going to be facing that a lot with Rona. Luckily, Rona has 3 toughness, so it does survive some things like early Fire Impulse. It survives like Stomp from Bone Crusher Giant. But in general, the deck is just designed so that it can play well through disruption. You have Tyvar to bring stuff back. You have Treasure Cruise to refill, so on and so forth. You can also like pivot into a more mid-range game plan with Karn into Azeka's Chariot. So I do think this is like a pretty strong deck. Also, people will probably figure out ways to make it stronger. There's a lot of different things you could test. Some of the things I've been thinking about are like Nissa's. Wait, what is Oath of Nissa? Oath of Nissa is pretty cool. If you can make a lot of green mana and you have like the Rona Retraction Helix, then you can pay 1 green and keep playing Oath of Nissa over and over and over. So it's like draw a card for each green mana that you have, which is pretty sick. Gives you like an alternate way to like do kind of like a soft combo when you don't have the full combo. So that's something worth trying out maybe. Oath of Nissa. Also maybe like playing some disruption spells like Thoughtseize, Fatal Push. Could be good with Jace. You could pivot into just like, okay, now I'm just gonna win on a game of resources. Now I'm no longer trying to combo you. Now I'm just gonna play a mid-range game. Because you have a lot of card advantage elements in the deck naturally. So yeah, that's basically my thoughts on the deck. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope this was helpful, and hopefully this deck becomes one of the powerful, more like tier 1 decks in Pioneer. See you guys. See you in the next video.